A translation or rotation is a composition of reflections. So if you put together different reflections, you can get a translation. If you put together different reflections, you can get a rotation. A composition of reflections across two parallel lines. So if you do reflections across two parallel lines, you are going to get a translation. So I'm going to show you what it looks like here. So the order matters in how you reflect these. So if I'm going to reflect over L first, so I'm going to take ABC and reflect it over L. So it's going to look something like this. So this is B prime, A prime, and C prime. Then I'm going to reflect the red over the blue. Or red over the blue line right here, the blue line M. So it looks like this. So it's going to be A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So what happens is, if you look at the first picture, so I'll change the color. If you look at the first picture, A, B, C, and you compare it to the second picture, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, you can see that it looks like it's just been translated. It's just been shifted. That's what happens when you have two parallel lines. Now, when you have two intersecting lines, here's what happens. So, I'm going to change this back to black here. A composition of two reflections across intersecting lines is a rotation. So I'm going to reflect over line L first again. C prime, A prime, B. It's not perfect because I don't have a compass. Nope, that's not perfect at all. So B prime, C prime's over here, and A prime. Then I'm going to reflect this over line M. So B double prime would be about right here. A double prime would be about right here. And then C double prime would be about right here. So what happened was, if you look at the original one, I'll shade that, and your ending one, you just basically rotated it just across two intersecting lines. So the fundamental theorem of isometry. So remember, isometries are congruent shapes, same size. In a plane, one or two congruent figures can be mapped onto others by a composition of at most 3 reflections. That means that if you have two shapes, or if you have a shape, I could make this heart, I could go from this heart to this heart by at most 3 reflections. So some type of combination of parallel lines and intersecting lines could make that heart go on to the other heart. So new term, so we've talked about translations, rotations, reflections. A new isometry is called a glide reflection. And a glide reflection is, to glide means to shift, and then it's a reflection. So if you have normally a heart like this is what a glide reflection would look like. So if I put a star right here, you can tell that this star has been reflected over because the star is on the right, the star's on the right hand side and this is on the left hand side. So you know it's a reflection. I also know it's a reflection, or I know it's a glide reflection because this has been shifted down. So a glide reflection is something that has opposite orientation, but then it's also been shifted or translated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate this, ABC, x minus 1, y plus 2. So I'm going to go over left 1, and up 2. So this would be B prime. This would be C prime. And this would be A prime. So I'm going to draw this out, but then I'm going to reflect it across the x-axis. So I'm going to take A prime and reflect it across the x-axis to be A double prime. I take C prime and reflect it across the x-axis to be C double prime. And B is going to be up here. So if you compare the original black shade with the blue figure, it is a glide reflection. You couldn't just draw a line of symmetry right here. You can't draw a line of symmetry, but you can tell that it's been reflected. So if it's been reflected but it's been shifted, then it's a glide reflection. Okay, so let's do it again. So find the image of triangle ABC if reflect over the x-axis and then translate it. So this is going to be a glide reflection because you're reflecting and then you're translating it. So I'm going to reflect this over the x-axis. So it's going to be B prime, C prime, A prime. A doesn't move because it's on the axis already. So there's my new blue triangle. And then I'm going to go x minus 1, y plus 2. So x minus 1, y plus 2 is A double prime. C left up 2, C double prime. B left up 2, B double prime. So if you compare this to this figure, the green figure with the black figure, you can see the orientation has been changed. This goes A, C, B. This one goes A, B, C. The original one, A, B, C. This one goes A, C, B. That's how you can tell the orientation has changed. And it's also been shifted because you can't just draw a line of reflection. And then find the image ABC if you reflect it over the x-axis. So I'm going to reflect this over the x-axis like this. A prime, C prime, B prime. And then you reflect it over the y-axis. So now we're going to go to the y-axis. So C double prime, A double prime, and B double prime. What is the resulting isometry? So what happened? Well, how would you describe this going from here to here? So if you look, we've reflected it over two intersecting lines. Both of these were reflections. So reflections over two intersecting lines is going to be a rotation. So we rotate it. You might be able to tell that we actually rotated 180 degrees. If you reflect something over the x-axis and y-axis, it's going to be rotated 180 degrees. So let's fill in this chart. So in a translation, has the orientation changed? No. Reflection, definitely. A rotation, no. And a glide, yes. The orientation has changed. So what I mean by that is, if you had two hearts like this, pre-image, image, the star is still going to be on the right-hand side. But if you reflected it, the star would be on opposite sides. If you rotated it, the star would still be on the right-hand side. And a glide would be, not only would be on opposite sides, but it also be shifted too. So how many reflections does it take to make a translation? Just two, and it's over parallel lines. How many reflections for reflection? Just one. And this is when the orientation changes. And then rotation is 2, and it's over intersecting lines. And then a glide reflection is actually going to be 3 because 2 are going to come from the translation plus 1 for the reflection. So glide is 3 reflections.